All right, how's it going, everyone? Today we're going to do another nutrition episode and dive into the debate. Good versus bad food. Are there good foods and are there bad foods? But before we do, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff. Whatever you want to do, follow my page so I can get this message out to more people and help spread the good word of TAG performance and nutrition, and ultimately help more people, help you become an athlete for life through training, through nutrition, sleep, stress management, mindset, all those other habits that we need so we can fit all those puzzle pieces, those Lego pieces together to get you where you want to be, living the life you want and enjoying that life that you want to live. But like I said, today let's talk about good versus bad food. The popular thing these days, it seems, with all the influencers and nutrition coaches, dietitians, whatever, strength coaches, all these people, there are no such things as good and bad foods. Foods don't have morals. Well, duh. Foods don't have morals. There's nothing morally wrong with eating whatever you want. If you're an adult, you can eat whatever the heck you want. Just like you can do whatever you want with your life. You could be a criminal. You could be a drug dealer. You could be a doctor. You could be a coach. Whatever you want to be, you can make those choices. That's one of the benefits of living in America. We can make choices with whatever we do. And it's part of being an adult, making choices and controlling what you can control. But it's kind of weird that people say there aren't good and bad foods. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that no food is good or bad. Of course, there's nothing morally wrong. And I mean, I eat foods that are bad not all the time, but every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are foods that are good for you, and there are foods that are bad for you. Just like there's training that's not good for you, especially if you're just running yourself into the wall all the time and beating yourself up. That's not good for you. But a lot of people do it. There's foods that are good for you. It could be like something that is beneficial, has nutrients, protein, carbs, fats, micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, those whole nutrient-dense foods. Those are, for the most part, good for you. But let's look at those could also be bad for you. Say you're allergic to eggs. Is that a good food? No, it's not a good food for you. It's a bad food for you. You're probably not going to eat them if you're getting some allergic reaction and just breaking out in hives or rashes or whatever, even worse, celiac disease, if someone eating gluten and they have that attack with that. So yes, there are good and bad foods. Let's stop with all this crap that no food is good or bad. It's just food. No, the junk food is not good for you. Let's face it, the truth. Can you eat it? Yeah, of course you can eat it. I like Reese's peanut butter cups. I'll have a Reese's peanut butter cup every once in a while. I know it's not good for me. I know it's bad for me. There's no health benefits whatsoever in it. And usually it'll make me feel like crap. So is a food that makes you feel like garbage, is that good for you? Probably not. I would say that's a bad food for you. But good foods and bad foods. Yeah, they're not like in people, there's good and bad people. Foods aren't committing crimes and stuff like that. If you're saying that, then yes, there are no good or bad foods. But in terms of being good for you or bad for you, there are plenty of those foods that are good and bad for you. And again, this is going to be individual, but in general, there's a lot of foods that are bad that have no benefits for anyone. Alcohol is not, there's no benefits of alcohol. The cookies, the cakes, all that stuff. Yes, and people will say, yeah, it helps me get over or that crave that sweet tooth or it tastes good. There's plenty of things that taste good, but they're not good for you. That's usually all those foods are. They taste good. Oreos taste good, but they're not good for you. Like I said, Reese's peanut butter cups taste good, but they're not good for you. But again, there are good and bad foods. It's and we all know what they are. By now, everyone knows that you should be eating whole, nutrient dense, real foods, foods that come from an animal, foods that come from the earth. Those things that your meats, your proteins, your vegetables, good carbs, rice, potatoes, uh, whole wheat, that type of thing, oats, and fruits, fats, good fats, butter, olive oil, nuts and seeds, all that stuff. So we all know these things are good for us. For the majority of us, like I said, some people could have allergies or intolerances, and those foods are not going to be good for you. Um, that's just a fact. But yeah, maybe this is my opinion, but my opinion is that there are good and bad foods out there, but it doesn't say you can't eat them. Again, you make the choice to do what you want with your life. It's the people like me who promote healthy foods and eat healthy 90% of the time that we get labeled as freaks or weirdos because we eat how humans are supposed to eat: omnivores, eating fruit, eating meat, eating plants, eating fruit, eating vegetables. But then we get called and labeled as bad people because we don't eat candy or whatever it is, or chips and stuff like that. When no, that's just the normal way humans are supposed to be eating. We've just Our world has become so industrialized with all the processed foods and stuff like that that it's inundated. We get hammered with it on marketing, on commercials. You see these athletes promoting Gatorade and other chips and stuff like that that is not good for you. But again, food morally, yeah, maybe these things aren't. There aren't no such thing as, because food doesn't have moral. Food is not living, at least not anymore. I mean, maybe you're eating live animals, but then maybe you got some other problems that you might want to look at if you're eating a live cow or something like that. But yeah, food is not, or food is, there are good and bad foods. That's just a thing. Like, there's no nutritional value in a lot of these foods that you're eating. They're just empty calories, empty sugar, and they don't fill you up. That's why you keep consuming them, and it's harder to stop because they're made to do that to you, to get your taste buds going and leave you craving more because they don't have those nutrients that aren't satiating and filling you up. But the arguments are that, oh yeah, it's not going to hurt, everything in moderation. All that's dumb. All that stuff is stupid. But just, it's up to you. You make the choices. It's not where where people think that you're a bad person because you don't eat junk food. No, the foods you eat don't make you a good or bad person. It's just the choices you make, and you live with your choices. If you want to feel like crap and be out of shape and overweight and lazy and have low energy, low testosterone, be injured and ache all the time, go ahead, eat those foods that are bad for you. That's no problem. I'm not saying that you can't do that. Again, it's your choice. But I'm just telling you that to think that there are good and bad foods. But another thing that comes up is people just beat themselves up because they overwhelm themselves and get so frustrated if they are eating bad foods or not eating the foods they know they should be. When if you're beating yourself up that much, it's just going to stress you out more and cause more. So in that case, work on it. Work on taking it a step at a time. You don't have to switch everything over and start eating better. Make some swaps. Work on some healthier habits. Those types of things, rather than just beating yourself up. Because most of the stress I see with people comes from doing the things, or just stressing out about the little things, about overwhelming themselves with the foods they're eating and beating themselves up because they made a mistake, or they didn't follow the plan, or they can't stop eating cookies, or whatever it is. They just beat themselves up. And they know those foods aren't good for them. So then they beat themselves up when they eat them. When just know that it's a choice. If you do that, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you might. And sometimes maybe it's asking yourself a question: is this food going to move me towards my goals? or am I going to feel good after eating this food? It's things like that where you need to figure out what you want in life, what you want with your life, how you want to live, and go from there. You don't need to beat yourself up or punish yourself because you ate a whole pizza this night when you were doing really good. No, just get right back on track the next day. A lot of those frozen pizzas are not the best for you. They're probably not good if you're buying them from the store or the cookies you bought from the store. But maybe it's you switch that out and make your own pizza with better ingredients. Make your own cookies with real ingredients. So yes, there are good and bad foods, but it doesn't. If you want to ultimately live your best life, you feel better and look better and be stronger and be lean and muscular, be an athlete for life, you're going to lean towards those good foods 95% of the time. And if you really enjoy bad food, some of these foods that aren't good for you, bad for you, you can still have them. But just know that, yeah, they're not good for me, but I enjoy them. They taste good, whatever. But too many people make that excuse as, oh, they just taste good. It makes me feel good. It helps me. Or people with alcohol, they use alcohol as their crutch. Oh, a long, hard day at work. This just helps me ease the stress. No, it's making it worse. Honestly, there's no health benefits in alcohol whatsoever. Oh, it makes me feel good. It makes me talk more. It makes me come on my shell. No, just do that. You can make the choice to do that stuff without the alcohol. Alcohol is not doing you any favors because once you drink it, everything else is shutting down. Your body's trying to get that alcohol out of the system. That's why I stopped. I just hated feeling like crap all the time. But again, good and bad foods, yes, there are good. Yes, there are bad. But again, you make the choices. Everything you do is a choice, pretty much. I mean, you can't pick the weather, so don't worry about that. You can't control the news. Don't worry about that. You can control your nutrition. You can control what you put in your mouth unless you're a kid. Then your parents, and that's a shame on you if you're a parent and just shoving garbage down your kids' throats all the time. And then you wonder why they're overweight, why they're lazy, why they're not very good at sports, why they don't sleep, why they got all these other ADDs and all this other stuff. A lot of it probably falls back on your nutrition, on their exercise, on their sleeps and sleep not sleeps, and things like that. So it all ties together. But the good and bad food, there are good foods. There are foods that are good for you. There are foods that are bad for you. Again, food is not morally bad or good. Food is food, but half the stuff we eat, I don't even know if you could classify it as food. Most of it's fake. It's not real. It's all artificial junk that's not good for you, but you can eat that stuff if you want, if that's your choice. Again, I would strongly say don't do it as much as possible because, again, you're not going to look good. You're not going to feel good. Sure, it might taste good for a little bit, but that wears down, and then you eat more and more and more, and then you feel like crap, and you got diarrhea, and you're sitting on the toilet all day and feeling like garbage and sluggish and not sleeping. So, good and bad foods, yes, there are good foods. Eat the good foods, the whole nutrient-dense, real foods, your meat, your fish. And even when we get into those, there are better quality sources of good food and bad and worse. So, if you're getting from like a local farm, it's probably the best. Again, organic doesn't mean it's great either. You can get organic candy. That's not good for you. But eat it if you want. That's your choice. Again, I'm here to put out good quality information. I hope this helps. But again, if you don't need to beat yourself up over it. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all make choices. It's about learning from those mistakes, learning from your failures, growing from them, and figuring out what works best for you. Maybe you don't really care about how you look or feel. Then you just want to be way overweight and obese and just be another statistic on all the statistics that we have problems with here, especially in the U.S. If you want to do that, more power to you, man. That's you. That's your choice. But if you want to be lean, athletic, give yourself the best chance of living a long, fulfilling life, then you're not going to want to latch on and eat all these bad foods, the processed stuff, the alcohol, that type of thing. You're not going to want to do that because you really care for yourself and believe in yourself and want to be the best version of yourself. So if you want that, let's lean on those good foods, the whole nutrient dense, real foods, foods from the earth, foods from animals, and eat those. That's what I got for you today, guys. Good versus bad. They're fighting it out, good and bad foods. They're kind of probably fighting it out in your mind of what to have. Should I have this Oreo or should I have this apple? And you have that daily battle. But again, once I find that you start down the healthy path and start eating those real foods, then you don't want to eat the bad foods as much. You don't, and then you try them and you're like, oh, that doesn't even taste as good as I thought. You get used to the real sugar and fruit, and you can taste the artificial stuff in the Oreos or the candy or whatever it is, and it just doesn't taste as good. So that's my little spiel for you today. Hope it helps. Again, you make the choices. You choose to live the life you want. And one of the biggest choices you can make and one of the things you have the most control over, especially with your health, is what you consume. So that's what we have for you today, guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below or shoot me an email, trevor@tagpn.com, and we will talk to you again soon.